Okay, so when we first started trig, there was a video that talked about having 6 trig functions. We really only talked about 3 of them, sine, cosine, and tangent. Until now, we are going to now use the other 3, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. These are known as the reciprocal functions to sine, cosine, and tangent. Cosecant is the reciprocal for sine, and as we recall, sine uses your y coordinate, so cosecant can be found by using the ratio 1 over y. Secant is the reciprocal for cosine, and cosine uses the x coordinate, therefore secant is the ratio 1 over x. Cotangent is the reciprocal to tangent, and tangent was the ratio of y over x, so cotangent would be x over y. Knowing these should help you when we're finding the exact values of them. And just like the last video that we watched, you start with the angle. Our angle is 240, so we find 240 on the unit circle. Because it's cosecant, cosecant is the reciprocal to sine, so we are going to use the ratio of 1 over y. So the y value of 240 degrees is negative square root of 3 over 2. So that would give us 1 over negative square root of 3 over 2. But again, we can't leave it like this. When we're dividing fractions, keep it, change it to multiplication, flip the second fraction. So technically it would be 1 times negative 2 over the square root of 3. But because we're just multiplying it by 1, we don't even really need to do anything with that. So we have negative 2 over the square root of 3. But we can't leave it like this because we cannot have a radical in the denominator. You have to rationalize the denominator. So that means multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3. And when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. So that would give you negative 2 square roots of 3 over square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9. And the square root of 9 is just 3. There's that one. Okay, cotangent. Cotangent is the reciprocal to tangent. This is a negative angle, so before we can even do anything with it, we have to first find the coterminal angle. So because it's a negative number, we are going to add 360 degrees to it, which would give us an angle of 240. So we're using the same angle, only we're finding cotangent. So we're finding cotangent of 240 degrees. So again here, cotangent has the ratio of x over y. So we have x, which is negative 1/2, over y, which is negative square root of 3 over 2. And again, keep it, change it, flip it. Keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, flip the second fraction. And when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. So negative 1 times negative 2 would be a positive 2 over 2 times the square root of 3. We could have also simplified immediately. We could have divided those out, but same idea here. That would leave us with 1 over the square root of 3. And again, have to rationalize the denominator. So multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3. So that would give us the square root of 3 over 3. Okay, here's secant of 3 pi over 2. So find 3 pi over 2. Here we go. 3 pi over 2. Here's our x and our y. Secant is the reciprocal to cosine, so that's 1 over x. X is 0, so we have 1 over 0. And when 0 is in the denominator, that's undefined. One more. Cotangent of 9 pi over 4. Well, 9 pi over 4 is bigger than 2 pi. So because it's bigger than 2 pi, we have to use our coterminal angles to help us find one that falls within the unit circle. So when it's bigger than 2 pi, we have to subtract 2 pi. And when it comes to fractions, you need a common denominator. So we need to multiply top and bottom by 4, which would give us 9 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4. And when you're subtracting, 9 minus 8 is simply just 1 pi over 4. So we are finding cotangent of pi over 4. So using our unit circle, we go to pi over 4, and we have cotangent, which is x over y, would give us the square root of 2 over 2 over the square root of 2 over 2. Square root of 2 over 2 over the square root of 2 over 2. Now luckily, these are the same exact fractions. So anytime you are dividing the same exact fraction, it simply equals 1.